How to play
Dice Throne. In Dice Throne, heroes battle to the death by rolling 5 dice up to 3 times, collecting specific arrangements of dice in order to activate their abilities to scorch, slash, poison, heal, and inflict chaos upon their enemies until only one hero remains standing. Phases.
The game is played over several rounds, with each hero taking a turn which progresses through the following phases. Upkeep Phase, Income Phase, Main Phase 1, Offensive Roll Phase, Targeting Phase, Defensive Roll Phase, Main Phase 2, and Discard Phase.
Upkeep Phase.
During the Upkeep Phase, your hero applies any status effects that mention the Upkeep Phase in its description, such as Poison or Burn.
Income Phase.
Gain 1 combat point and draw 1 card. Note, this phase is skipped on the first player's turn, but only at the beginning of the game.
Main Phase 1.
You may play main phase cards, upgrade cards, and even sell cards for 1 combat point per card, then discard them.
Offensive Roll Phase.
This is when you roll the dice and activate an ability. First roll all 5 dice. You can either stop rolling or roll up to 2 more times, setting aside any dice you would like to keep. Once you either have the dice you want or have rolled 3 times, choose and activate one ability that has the same amount of symbols as your final dice result. For example, the Shadow Thief rolls 3 times and ends up with 4 daggers. She then can activate the Dagger Strike ability, which will deal 6 damage plus gain 1 combat point since a bag was the 5th dice in the final result.
Targeting Phase.
This roll decides which hero shall receive your wrath. If there are more than 2 players, you will roll 1 dice to determine your target. For example, in a 3-player game, if you roll a 1 to 3, target the hero to your left. If you roll a 4 to 6, target the hero to your right. In this instance, the Shadow Thief rolls a 5, targeting the Barbarian. Note, there are many different targeting scenarios which you can review on page 11 of the Season 1 rulebook.
Defensive Roll Phase.
If your opponent deals damage as a result of their offensive roll phase, you now activate your defense ability. Most of the time it will say defensive roll X, which means roll X number of dice at the same time, then resolve the roll based on your defense ability. For example, the Paladin will receive damage from the Shadow Thief, so he rolls 3 dice, getting 2 daggers and a heart. His defense ability allows him to deal 1 damage per dagger and prevent 2 damage per heart. Both heroes now have 1 more chance to play action cards to change the outcome. Since no cards were played this time, the Paladin will deal 2 damage back and prevent 2 damage coming to him, resulting in the Paladin taking 4 damage and the Shadow Thief taking 2.
Main Phase 2.
This happens after combat and is identical to the first main phase.
Discard Phase.
Discard cards until you have a maximum of 6 cards in your hand. That's it. That's pretty much it.
Components. Hero Boards.
Each hero has different abilities, but they all share some common aspects. The ability name, description, and activation requirement. These are the required symbols you must collect by rolling dice in order to activate an ability. There are different types of abilities. Offensive ability, which you may activate during your offensive roll phase. Defensive ability, which is activated when you are damaged by another hero's offensive roll phase. Passive ability, which is available to you at any time, but, read the description to make sure. And the ultimate ability, which is the most powerful of them all. Note that a small straight is a run of 4 dice, and a large straight is a run of 5.
Hero Leaflets.
Each hero leaflet describes the status effects they can gain or inflict on others throughout the game. It also gives you an overview of what symbols are in your hero's dice pool.
Status Effect Tokens.
These tokens signify a status effect on a hero. These can damage heroes or even be beneficial to them. Status effects all have a stack limit indicated on the hero leaflet, and some are persistent, which means they don't go away unless a card or external factor removes them.
Health Dials.
The health dials track your hero's health throughout the game. You can only have a max of 10 points over your starting health, and if you go down to 0, you are defeated and removed from the game.
That's it. Game over. Combat Point Dials.
This dial tracks your combat points, which you can spend to activate cards and other effects. You can only have a maximum of 15 combat points. Period. Don't try to do more, there's not any more on the dials, okay?
Hero Dice.
Each hero has a unique set of dice. Specific combinations of symbols or numbers activate abilities on the hero's board.
Hero cards. Upgrade cards.
These upgrade your hero's abilities. After purchasing them with combat points, you place them over the matching ability on your hero board. There are different levels, but you don't have to upgrade in succession. You can go from level 1 to level 3 by paying the cost of the level 3 card. But if you upgrade to level 2 and then level 3, you only pay the difference between 3 and 2.
Action cards.
There are 3 kinds of action cards.
Roll phase action.
These have a dice symbol at the top right and can only be played during the offensive roll, targeting roll, or defensive roll phases.
Main phase action.
These cards have an M symbol at the top right and can only be played during the main phase.
Instant action.
These are signified by an exclamation mark at the top right and can be played at any time without restriction and cannot be interrupted by anything.
Nothing can stop me now. The heroes. Barbarian. Hit hard, heal up, win games. Paladin. Buff your offense and defense. Stay alive even after death. Control your dice to attain the victory you deserve. Monk. Use chi to be more offensive or defensive. Master the balance and victory is yours. Pyromancer. As a classic glass cannon, even your defense is another offense. The long game is not your friend, so scorch the earth quickly or die trying. Moon Elf. Blind and entangle foes. Frustrate your enemies while you evade their attacks and whittle them down slowly and painfully. Shadow Thief. Poison foes. Steal resources. Draw extra cards. Force opponents to discard and then hide in the shadows. The longer the game goes, the stronger you become. Setup.
Select your hero. Set your play area in front of you like this. Shuffle your deck, draw 4 cards. Set your starting health to 50 and combat points to 2. Once again, refer to the game variations for other health options. Each player rolls 1 dice, the highest number goes first. Remember, the first player skips their income phase on the first turn only.
Example round.
By this point, you could go ahead and get started, or you could stick around while we go through an example round.
Round 1. Barbarian versus Moon Elf versus Shadow Thief.
Each hero starts with 30 health points and 2 combat points. Each hero draws 4 cards. Then the heroes roll to see who goes first, and Moon Elf will start the game.
Moon Elf's turn.
Upkeep and income phases. As the first player in the first round of the game, Moon Elf will skip her upkeep and income phases and move on to the first main phase. Main phase 1. She sells her transference card for 1 combat point. Offensive roll phase. She makes her first roll. She will keep the 6. Second roll. She keeps another 6. Third and final roll. Dang, not enough 6s. But wait, she can play twice as wild, which allows her to change the result of 2 dice and turn the 4 and 5 into 2 more 6s. She will now activate her Eclipse ability. Targeting phase. Moon Elf rolls a 3, which will target the hero to her left, the Barbarian. The Barbarian could use a roll phase card to affect the roll, such as Helping Hand, but he doesn't have anything like that, so he's targeted. Defensive roll phase. Since Moon Elf activated her Eclipse ability, the Barbarian immediately adds Blind, Entangled, and Targeted to his board. He will receive 7 damage plus 2 from Targeted. But first, Barbarian will make his defensive roll of 3. He rolled 2 hearts, so he will heal 4 damage and take 9 damage, netting 5 damage overall. He has 1 more chance to use a roll phase card, but he doesn't. The Barbarian moves his health dial down to 25. Main phase 2. Moon Elf does nothing. Discard phase. She already has 6 or less cards, so no discarding this turn.
Barbarian's turn.
Upkeep phase. He currently has 3 status effects on his board, but none of them affect him during the upkeep phase, so we will move on. Income phase. He gains 1 combat point and draws 1 card. Main phase 1. He will pay 2 combat points to play the Smack 2 upgrade card. He now places it on top of his Smack ability on his hero board. Offensive roll phase. Barbarian makes his first roll. He decides to play it safe and keeps his 3 swords. Since he is entangled, his second roll will be his last. He makes his second roll.
All swords, yes.
He removes the entangled token from his board. But now he must resolve his blind status effect, which says he must roll 1 dice, and if it is a 1 or a 2, the attack completely fails. He rolls 2. Damn it! Wait, he can play his try again card to roll a dice up to 2 more times. First roll, he gets a 1. Oh. Second roll is a 6. Yes! He now removes the blind status token from his board. Targeting phase. Please be a 4 or better, come on. He rolls a 2. Oh well, he wanted to pay the Moon Elf back, but the Shadow Thief has it coming too. Defensive roll phase. He will now send 9 damage to the Shadow Thief, but first, she must make her defensive roll. Shadow Thief has 2 defenses, but must choose only 1. She goes with Counter Strike and rolls 5 dice. Not quite what she wanted, so she plays her Better D card, re-rolls the 4 and gets a 2. She will deal 3 damage back and inflict poison on the Barbarian. Poor Barbarian, man. They both move their health dials down at the same time, then Barbarian adds a poison token to his board. Ouch. That hurt. Main phase 2. Barbarian does nothing. Discard phase. Again, he has less than 6 cards in his hand, so it's all good. No discarding.
Shadow Thief's turn.
Upkeep phase. She has no status effects on her right now, so nothing. It's all good. Income phase. She gains 1 combat point and draws a card. Main phase 1. She will pay 1 combat point to play Sneaky and adds the Sneak Attack status effect to her board. This will allow her to add 1 dice of damage at the end of her offensive roll phase. See, sometimes they're good for you. She then gets to pay 0 combat points to upgrade to Dagger Strike 2. Offensive roll phase. Shadow Thief makes her first roll, and she's gonna keep the daggers. She now makes her second attempt, adding 1 more dagger to her pool. Now for her final roll. 4 daggers in a bag. Nice. She will activate her Dagger Strike 2 ability, which will deal 6 damage and she gains 1 combat point. She now spends her Sneak Attack token, rolls 1 dice, and gets a 6, making the total damage 12 now. Targeting phase. Shadow Thief rolls and gets a 5, targeting our poor Barbarian once again. Defensive roll phase. The Barbarian has 12 damage heading his way. His defense ability gives him 3 dice, so he rolls those at once. He gets 2 hearts, healing 4 damage. So 12 damage, healing 4, resulting in a total of 8 damage to the Barbarian. Just can't get a break, man. Main phase 2. Shadow Thief does nothing. Discard phase. Okay, this is in the beginning of the game, so less than 6 cards, no discarding. But if she did have more than 6, discard down to 6. So no more than 6 cards in your hand. You get it, right? Okay.
End of round 1. End of game.
Each hero continues taking turns until 1 hero is left standing and all others are reduced to 0 health. The Barbarian won after all. I'll be damned. Yay!
The end!
If you found this tutorial helpful, please subscribe below and share it with your friends. If you like to look at pictures, follow Board Game Tutorials on Instagram. Also, check out boardgametutorials.com and sign up for our newsletter to be even more informed. Bye!